Hey everyone, it's the Hey Poopy podcast. What that booty do from poop to pleasure to health. Hosted by me, Dave.
And me, Ellen, two curious people who are removing the stigma from your stinker. And why are we doing this? Because we love laughing and learning about butts and helping them to be the best they can be. And on today's show, we have Lily Zepeda, the amazing director of the documentary film Mr. Toilet, which is officially our favorite documentary on this show.
Yes. You should check it out. It's actually available on Amazon. And if you go to Mr. Toilets, I'm sure online you can find out where it's available in your part of the world. But it was a fantastic, inspiring film starring Jack Sim. He's the world's number 2 guy and dealing with toilets. And the film is just such, I mean, it hits all the boxes. It's funny, it's sad, it's inspiring, and just really overall hopeful. And Lily did an amazing job bringing that to life on screen.
And very educational. It was great to have Lily on the show to tell us about how she met Mr. Toilet, how she got inspired to make this film, how long it took to take this film. And we have a fun clip like this one.
But I think the most uncomfortable one is like one of the opening shots that we do is that we happen to have like a kind of a see-through door where Mr. Toilet was going to the bathroom and we were filming him. And I remember my camera guy getting uncomfortable. Like I wasn't. And Mr. Toilet wasn't. And my camera guy's like, "Are you serious? You want me to keep shooting this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
wow. You're like, "Yeah, dude, it's the film."
Yeah, I do want you to keep shooting this because he didn't tell us no.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us no at all. And it was like a perfect silhouette of him going to the bathroom without seeing too much, but just enough. And I remember going to feedback sessions because you really have to show this film before it's out in the theaters and stuff and get people's reactions. And I liked that it made some people uncomfortable. I like that the idea of that we do this thing like 6 to 12 times a day, it makes you uncomfortable. Like it's just so interesting to me. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. So that told me, oh, leave it in. You know, I'm glad that makes you uncomfortable.
Nice. Yes. So you'll hear more of that with this full episode. And if you have anything that you want to talk about, want to share, maybe you know about a documentary we haven't heard about, you can go visit heypoopypodcast.com and we'll get back to you.
And on to the shit show.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
Yes, welcome back, people. Welcome back on this dump day.
It is a podcast about poop and so much more.
Yes.
This is the Hey Poopy podcast with
Dave
and Ellen, and this is episode 146, but it'll always be number 2 to us, our favorite number.
Yes.
And today we have a fabulous guest, Lily, who directed our new favorite documentary, Mr. Toilet.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Mr. Toilet, the world's number 2 man.
Yes. He is the world's number. He is the world's number 2 man, if you will.
And we're the number 2 podcast.
For sure. But
So Lily, before we go into what you do, we'd like to know more about how you poo. How have you been pooping recently?
Recently, well, I just got back from Costa Rica, so I feel like modern world food has changed my system a little bit. But I will say that it's been more regular lately, to be honest, because I've been taking a lot of vitamin C, and I think that correlates with giving you the runs, making you run to the bathroom a lot. So it's good, actually. My stomach feels very flat.
Nice. You're taking off some of that vacation meals.
Yep.
And do you know where you land on the Bristol stool chart?
Ooh, I honestly, this is like a month to month, week to week situation, but I don't know at the moment. You could probably more tell me. It's a little bit more runny.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're probably more of like a 6.
There you go.
We're just gonna say 6 for the show. Perfect. That works. 6 for you. 6 in Costa Rican Spanish.
Very good.
Yeah, right. I'm horrible at Spanish. My Spanish is awful, but I'll go into my check-in next because Ellen usually has like epic opus thing. So I just pooped twice today, and maybe a half hour before the show, and early this morning around 7:00, and they were both somewhere in the 5 range.
Congrats.
I know, it's very exciting. Mine are like super old faithful. I go like 2-3 times a day. So
after your Valium thing, is anything changed?
I mean, a little bit. They're definitely a little like firmer, for lack of a better term. I know, but yeah. I mean, I did this like gut test thing, and so I've been trying to like get some more vitamins in my diet, and hopefully that'll help. But it's been going okay. I mean, some weeks are better than others.
Yeah,
I always
Dave's
forget.
got a very low rating on his gut biome.
Ooh.
Well, I got a little. Yeah, I this section that has to do with, I guess, not digestion. I forgot the exact term it was, but yeah, it was not good.
You're going to have to take spoonfuls of like sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I mean, I
like
eat
every
kimchi.
day.
I eat kimchi a lot, so that's been helping.
Perfect.
I think. I mean, I don't know. I've just been taking a bunch of extra pills, extra like ginger. That's what's up in my diet apparently. A lot of ginger. But I only had to like remove like 4 or 5 things where they said you should definitely not eat, and things I just don't even drink or eat anyway. So it kind of worked out. But yeah, it's going okay. Slow but surely. I should have perfect 4s
That's what we strive for.
At some point.
I don't have that much of an epic check-in where like nothing crazy has happened to me recently, which is amazing. But I did poop 3 times today. And one of said poops, the first poop I had today was very hard, and it was like birthing out a baby. It was like trying to squeeze a grapefruit out of a hole the size for a lemon. That was painful. My second poop today was after I'd already gotten in the shower. Thankfully, I hadn't sudded myself up yet, but I peed in the shower like I always do, which I feel like it's another version of yellow, let it mellow. Like you're flushing it down anyway. Might as well pee in the shower. And as soon as I was done peeing in the shower, I was like, fuck, I got to get out of here and take a dump. So I go in, pinched off a Bristol 4. And then I had a friend come over to look at some editing of some video that we've been working on. And I was like, I really got to pee. And as I was peeing, I pinched off another 4. So I had one unsuccessful, very hard do in the morning, but it's been soft ever since.
Okay. That is shockingly quite pedestrian for you. Usually Ellen's is like, there's like a whole beginning, there's an arc, whole storyline.
Yeah, I broke a toilet, I shit my pants.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah, nothing that crazy, except for I haven't done the like mid-shower shit in a very long time, and that was very disappointing. Because it was
I haven't done that in a long time. Although I do get you on the like pee in the shower thing, because like in many, like even just like certain indigenous cultures and stuff, they use pee to like clean hair or do other stuff. So I just think of it as like, oh, I guess I'm just cleaning my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it helps with athlete's foot.
For sure. Foot fungus.
I didn't even know that. But
it's a natural foot antifungal solution.
And I feel like pee in the shower, you're like saving that one less flush, you know?
You're saving the world. That's like a good advertisement, saving the world and athlete's foot all in one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like fast actin, but liquid version. So there's like, yeah, you know, it's all healthy alternatives.
Yeah. So Lily, now that we've all checked in on how we've been pooping, tell us a little bit more about yourself besides your poo.
Well, I guess I'm a documentary filmmaker. I like to be more called a storyteller because I end up telling stories in different formats. But the most recent one in a bigger format was a documentary called Mr. Toilet, like you said, the world's #2 man. And I released it just before the pandemic hit, thank God. And I spent 5 years with this guy named Mr. Toilet from Singapore, who basically I followed him around the world from Singapore to China to India. And his whole mission in life is to change poop culture to pop culture. And he's like a 12-year-old trapped inside a 60-year-old man's body. And he just decided that he needed to take on an issue that nobody else would. So in a sense, use kind of himself to make fun of so that so he could bring attention to something that nobody else really wants to talk about. And I really, really admired that. And I also like making documentaries that are not just sad, and they're also have a humor element. And he was perfect for that.
Oh yeah, he was like a complete character. Great film, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Really
Loved
good.
it. Well done.
You answered one of my questions about how long. So 5 years is a long time.
Yeah. 5 years is like a long time to follow a strange man around the world.
Yeah.
But you never know how long it's going to take, right? That's the beauty, and also the downside of documentary is that the story takes you write it as you go, and you never know when there's going to be some huge pivotal point that you're going to capture, or not at all, because in general life is pretty boring day to day. But when you're trying to capture somebody like him and taking on this mission of like solving world sanitation, you're like, oh geez, this is going to be a thing. And so 5 years is as long as it took.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, also the fact that like there isn't anything out there like that. I mean, that I've seen anyway. I mean, obviously, our show is about that life, but the fact
That's
that
true.
It just exists
You guys
is pretty,
would know if there was.
Yeah,
right?
so it's, and like again, like Jack Sims, his name, right?
Yep.
He was hilarious. It's so fucking funny.
Well, what did you like about him the most? Like, what was it that captured you?
For me, like the idea of like, kind of you spoken a little bit like this guy who's like an older man who literally has the energy of like a 15-year-old or something, just like just boundless excitement about something that's like, again, like no one talks about, but also it's like a huge problem in the world past people, places like we live in the States, so it's like we don't ever think about it, or most people don't think about going to the bathroom or having access to a toilet. So the fact that this guy is just like so funny, so just energetic, and the fact that he's trying to solve a problem that's a good chunk of the planet doesn't have access to like clean sanitary toilets or like any kind of sewer systems for that matter. So I thought he was just like a hero, like really fun.
Like I also like that idea of using like that childlike genius to solve like a world problem, right? Because I feel like I think we are used to like bureaucrats solving big world problems, and they say a lot, but you're like, what are they really saying? And I think he uses more of that like childlike imagination and wonder to ask a lot of questions that maybe people aren't asking. And I think that's what I also value. And he's willing to kind of like shake up things and also go against things that, maybe everybody will go along with, but he'll be like, I don't know if I buy this. So I think that also helps solve things quicker too.
And as we've noticed doing our show for almost 3 years now, that like you have to have humor to talk about poop. And so like that's what's so great about him. And Dave, I think you said it really well, that he is like a superhero, but he's like everything that a superhero needs, from like he's got that like adorable funny quality, but then also like he seems so smart to take on such a humongous problem that's affecting 3 billion people on the planet today.
2 billion, but
2 billion. Okay.
But he's also,
I was $1 billion off.
Yeah.
A lot.
But you're right though. It's the fact that he's hilarious, but he's smart in the sense of like he can like navigate bureaucracy and cut through all that stuff. And he seems like very everyman, like someone like a fun uncle or dad that you just know. That he doesn't come at you like sort of doom and gloom. Like he opens the door with funny, and then he's kind of like, oh, now that we're here, let's just talk about the serious thing. So.
Exactly. And I noticed that's how people react, because I'll talk about the film and they kind of are like cringy when they know it's about something serious or sanitation. But then as soon as I give the example of like, oh yeah, he's like the James Bond of toilets, because if you turn 007 upside down, it spells Lou. And they're like, what? And then all of a sudden they're like listening. They're just like, oh, okay, I know James Bond, so...
Well, that's the whole thing with potty humor versus like talking about everything. Like people don't like to talk about poop, but everybody loves to laugh at farts. So it's like they merge together in a way where you have to start it off with humor to then get to the nitty gritty.
Completely.
Totally. But he has this joke about how that people will admit to things like cheating on their wife, but they will never admit to like who's the person who farted in a room. Like it's almost like that. Right. That's embarrassing, right? That's really embarrassing, right? Like if you're in a meeting, like who farted? Nobody will be like, not me, right? But
well, they'll volunteer like I killed someone once.
Yeah,
I definitely did not. I did not fart in that conference call.
Which is so, because murdering somebody, not so normal. Farting, very normal.
Yeah.
And actually a sign of a healthy gut. So
yeah, boom, there you go.
Yeah. Hitting all the marks.
So Lily, start us from the beginning of this documentary. How did you even want to do this? How did you meet Jack Sim, aka Mr. Toilet?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because it's like, who wants to do a poop documentary, right? Raise your hand.
Me?
Actually, it just started with something very innocent. I was in traffic, and I remember somebody on the radio announcing that like Bill Gates was giving out like millions of dollars for somebody to invent the best toilet, and I honestly thought it was a joke. Because I think you think in the States, why would the toilet need to be reinvented? Why would people be paid millions of dollars just to reinvent it? And so at first I thought it was a joke, but then I realized Caltech University, it's not far from, LA, they won this huge award. And I thought, I've got to see this toilet. I've got to talk to these people. And they had done so much research on poop and pee and toilets. And I spent weeks and weeks with them just trying to identify like, wow, how do I make a story out of this? And honestly, they were like, we're like super nerdy and this is not going to be a good story, but I can tell you about Mr. Toilet. And I remember them showing me like a cartoon figurine of Mr. Toilet, like that was on the internet floating around. I was like, this is a real person? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, I'm in. And I contacted him and he was so open and he just couldn't stop going off about all his ideas and the poop culture to pop culture thing. And it was just, I have never met anybody like this in my entire life. I mean, even when you like hear the names of his children, they're Truth, Earth, Worth, and Faith. Like, it's like, okay, like he's in a whole different level.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, so you just cold called him and then, or like contacted him.
Yeah, I cold called like the university. I built a relationship with them over time just to kind of really explore more like what's going on in the space. And then I think one of them had known of Mr. Toilet or somebody knew, and then they introduced me through email, but he's pretty actually accessible or at that time he was. And then I cold called him. I mean, I have a kinship with really weird people. So like, I was like, he's like a soulmate. There's a lot of soulmates around. So
he's part of the
tribe. So, yeah.
I remember watching Bill Gates on Daily Show was the first time I heard about it. And I also had the same reaction as you. I was like, reinvent the toilet. The toilet's just fine. And not even realizing. But then I think, Dave, you went and saw some other film at, I think it was the School of Visual Arts. And then we saw the roster and there was like a film called Mr. Toilet that was playing there.
Oh, right? Yeah. It was like part of a SVA like film festival thing. Or sorry, it was the SVA theater. There's a film festival going on. I think I saw it and I had the program. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
And he went to see something else and he was like, there's a film called Mr. Toilet. And I was like, we need to watch that. I think this was like before we could even just stream it anywhere.
Yeah. I think I went the last day of this festival. So I missed it. But
but you went to see like a different
film. Completely different film.
Yeah.
And then
he showed me and I was like, how do we see this movie? Where do we see it? And then of course the pandemic.
You didn't even go to see my film.
No, I mean I didn't know it.
It existed.
When I saw it in the program and I was like, wait, what? I kept reading about it. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go see this. And it was like I just missed it like a day or two before or something. So
so
apologies.
I kept being like, we need to see it. Let's go. Let's find out how, because it wasn't even streaming at the time. And then we finally saw it over this past summer streaming. And I absolutely just like adored it. Also had my heart went out to him because I feel like he is biting off more than he can chew because it is such a massive problem.
Yeah.
And like, so how is that for you as the director in the documentary? Like, how is that? Like, it must have been so difficult to navigate.
Yeah. I mean, the one, thing about picking a unique character, you're along for their ride of their manicness and their craziness and all their flaws. And part of his flaw is that he does bite off more than he can chew. And, I saw him when he was in his late 50s, all the way to early 60s. And I saw him actually even starting to get really tired. He can fall asleep anywhere. He can fall asleep on like the floor of an airport. and he started falling asleep a lot more. He started like not being able to keep track of some meetings and stuff. And also that's just how his mind works. Like you try to plan as much as you can with him, but then you'll be there on that day and none of that will happen. And sometimes that's great. That's how, if anybody who watches the film, that's like how the giraffe story happened, where he was putting up illegal art in that happened actually pretty naturally. And we were supposed to go to a meeting that day. And I think we were late because of the giraffe. He had to make a lamppost out of a giraffe. Like, he just had to. But it is hard to watch because it's like you kind of feel like, okay, I wish he had a few more assistants to help him organize these thoughts. I wish that, like the board on his nonprofit wasn't changing all the time. Like, I wish, right? But these are like my own projections onto my character of what I would wish for him. And that's just how his life is. It's what makes him great. And it's also what makes him sometimes not as effective, because he's trying everything, throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. Yeah. And you're getting to see in the film, like, what is the downside to that as well. Yeah,
totally. I mean, his whole staff is just like, this guy's great, but like, he's all over the place. It's like 1,000 ideas at once, and he's got to do one first.
Yeah. And he saw the film for the first time after 5 years of filming him in the theater with everybody else. So I was so nervous about what his reaction was going to be, because I am showing the truth of things. And he was so cool about it. He was like, yeah, it's pretty true.
He's like, spot on.
Yeah.
Oh, that is crazy.
And he started the World Toilet Organization.
Yeah, he started the World Toilet Organization, and I love that story as well, is because WTO, most people know, is the World Trade Organization, and a lot of people told him, you're going to get sued, and he's like, awesome, that's perfect. Like, what a cool way to get attention, is like, if you get sued. And yeah, he never got sued, but I'm sure there was uncomfortable moments where the World Trade Organization didn't want to be associated with World Toilet Organization. But I think what gave World Toilet Organization legitimacy is that the United Nations signed a resolution that said World Toilet Day is an official holiday. So when 193 countries sign this piece of paper that says, like, you're legit, like, all of a sudden, then people are like, that's not so gross or weird anymore. All of a sudden it becomes. So I think I was there for one of the official ceremonies was 2012. It became official, I think. So that legitimized his organization, but he was going by himself for at least 10 or 15 years before that happened.
Wow. Yeah, that was a great part in the film. And we actually did a little PSA for World Toilet Day with our little mascot right behind us, Terry the Toilet.
How did you guys celebrate November 19th?
We made a little PSA.
We made a video that was just basically Dave and I asking Terry the Toilet some questions, and then telling people, like, hey, respect your toilet like we do to Terry. Yeah. And Terry described to us all the terrible things that we flushed down him that we shouldn't be.
Yeah. It's like a little fun piece we just put together. So
yeah, we'll send you a link after.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah. Jack Sim always believes in writing like a love poem to your toilet like that.
Oh.
That's so funny.
So, like, when you started out with doing all this stuff, did you have, like, potty humor? Like, we've interviewed people who have written books about the sewer system that were like, I didn't want to ever talk about poop in my life, and now my whole world is poop. Like, have you...
I'm very similar to that. Like, I guess I grew up with two brothers, so we always had this like very like raw, very gross humor. And they always thought I was the grossest, which to me, it all just came from trying to get a rise out of them, Right. But I did get to a point where I became the poop girl, because when you're making a documentary for 5 years and then you're doing PR for it for a year, it is like you've heard every joke possible. Every joke. Mm-hmm. And people will come up to you like, have you heard this? And you're like, here we go again. And then you have to like laugh your way through it and be like, that's so funny. So there was a point where I got to, it was this like, it's not that I didn't like that humor. I just didn't want to like become like, I didn't become Mrs. Toilet, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is
like,
a project.
Mrs. Toilet.
You're like, yeah, this is a project.
Yeah, this is a project. And I'm sure I'm more about weird people. So that's just a category, like he happened to be fitting in my category of weird people. So I'd rather be like the lady that interviews weird people or, stories that never really get told for sure. But I mean, I'm okay with it, but I'm also, think about it, I'm very visual. So when somebody tells me a story, I am visualizing every bit of it. And so I can get like a stomach ache pretty easily depending on the story.
Oh, I was gonna. That kind of leads. I had a question for you. What was like
Okay.
the grossest thing you filmed that maybe didn't make it onto the film, but like the nastiest thing you saw while filming this in the 5 years? I mean, I'm sure there's a million of it.
That is actually something interesting because we were in places where people were there's human defecation out in the open. And it was almost like I was able to turn that brain off because I think people forget I'm in work mode. Like I have 2.5 weeks to get this footage. I'm with a whole crew.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the sound and the lighting and the da-da-da. And I'm like, our next location is in 2 hours. So then like, if I'm faced with like human defecation on the floor, it's almost like I don't even smell it or feel it or know it.
Right.
It's just,
You're in the zone.
yeah, I'm in like a zone. So if I had just been there like as a tourist, I might have like taken it in and be like, this is not fun. But I think the most uncomfortable one is like one of the opening shots that we do is that we happen to have like a kind of a see-through door where Mr. Toilet was going to the bathroom and we were filming him. And I remember my camera guy getting uncomfortable. Like I wasn't. And Mr. Toilet wasn't. And my camera guy's like, are you serious? You want me to keep shooting this? And I was like, yeah. And
Wow. You're like, yeah, dude, it's the film.
yeah, I do want you to keep shooting this because he didn't tell us no.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us no at all. And it was like a perfect silhouette of him going to the bathroom without seeing too much, but just enough. And I remember going to feedback sessions because you really have to show this film before it's out in the theaters and stuff and get people's reactions. And I liked that it made some people uncomfortable. I liked it. I liked that the idea of that we do this thing like 6 to 12 times a day, it makes you uncomfortable. Like it's just so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. So that told me, oh, leave it in. I'm glad that makes you uncomfortable.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, a documentary about human defecation in public is going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Those parts were. We live in New York, so I see open. I mean, you see the remnants of open defecation all over the place. I would say we're probably a little more used to it living. I mean, maybe not like as much as what you saw, but we definitely see a lot of that here.
That's true. That's true.
And when you were making this documentary, did you then go like on to like educating your friends and stuff? Because you probably, as the same as we, didn't know that this human defecation, public defecation was such a big problem. Like how did it just change your point of view?
Yeah, it changed my point of view from like the female aspect, like talking to, 14-year-old girls who are like, oh, I can't go to school anymore just because there's like really no safe place for me to go to the bathroom. And, now I have my period. And it was just like, oh, now I can't go to school. And so I think I took that on as like imagining my 14-year-old self not being able to go to school. And that really hit me really hard. But as far as talking about it with my friends, it's kind of the same approach that Mr. Toilet has is the humor first was always first. Because then people would start telling me stories that I didn't even ask for them to tell me. It's almost like, you notice that with you guys, you're so open about this topic that they want to tell you the story because you specifically will be able to take all of it and they've never got a chance to tell anybody else. And then all of a sudden I see how everybody opens up and they're like, oh, now we're comfortable with talking about our bodies. And so that to me, it like happens very naturally versus, hey, did you know 2.2 billion people don't have access? No, I can't do that. I can't do that because honestly, people don't care. If you tell people that they don't have access to sanitation, and there's 2.2 billion people in the world, it's way overwhelming for the mind. You cannot overwhelm the mind like that. So it's okay, I'm gonna go get a latte now.
Yeah. Would you like something else with that order, ma'am? I just it's a little heavy for me right now, but agreed.
No, Dave and I occasionally will get a photo from a friend of their poop and we're like, hey, we didn't ask for that. And they're like, but you do that show. And we're like, no, it doesn't give you consent. It's like a dick pic to us. Like, we don't need your poop pics without consent.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
So, yeah, we want to talk about it.
It show's audio based.
So, yeah.
Yep.
It's funny how, like, everybody wants to talk about it, but nobody wants to talk about it all at the same time.
Yes. That's like a perfect example. It's like, it's hiding under there, and I know you do, but it all comes out in like one big dump.
Yeah. My thing is I either get like someone who's like, this will talk your ear off about stuff, or they're like, oh, why would you want to do that? And I'm like, you asked me, like, that's the conversation. Wasn't like, hey, I got this show about shitting. Tell me a story. Like, so it's kind of like, there's never an in between. No one's either like, nah, they're just like, no fucking way, or holy shit, I got stories.
Yep.
So.
Exactly.
Which I'm sure you probably get a lot of too.
Yeah, I used to get constant DMs about news articles, or I never got somebody's poo at their house though. I think you guys are on a different level. I think you guys are a different level. Than me.
I haven't got one in a long time, but occasionally here and there.
I think the message is out that we're like, consensual poop pics, please.
Yeah.
The saddest part, I feel like, in your entire documentary to me was to actually see he would build these toilets in people's homes, and then you would go back to find they were just using it as a closet and they were still defecating on the street. And like, how did you feel? Like, you're like, he's literally bringing you guys change and you don't want to change. That it's a health concern. It's not like a change like taking your shoes off at somebody's front door to come into their house to not get it dirty. It's a kind of change that literally spreads disease.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one big social experiment. And I think that that's something that he had to tinker with for a while, right? So like, one of the things that he always boldly would say is that in every culture, there's something that I'm just going to use emotion to figure out what drives people. So for instance, he figured out in most places in China, he was working, envy and jealousy worked. Sounds negative, but actually it worked. So for instance, he would start building toilets at local schools that had lots of pride. And then the community would talk about it. And then all of a sudden the other schools would be like, how come we don't have that? Oh my God. So like, we're best in education, but we're worst in our toilets. So then they would find the money all of a sudden from local alum to build toilets. It was the jealousy and envy that drove everything there. Now, that doesn't work in other cultures, like in some of the villages he was working in India. Honestly, it's just for them fresher and their connection to nature to go outside. And it's generation after generation after generation. And so to just say, hey, here's a flush toilet that, by the way, I haven't really taught you necessarily how to maintain, or maybe you don't know how to maintain it. They just see this room, dark, dirty, enclosed space with no air filtration, that I have to go here when I can go outside. And I've been going outside for years and years. And so I think it'll take time, because the idea that you're telling them that you're going to get diseases doesn't necessarily work, because there's also a lot of there's things like witchcraft and kind of myths in these villages where like they get sick from other things, not diseases. They get sick from somebody who cooked this poorly or wrongly or used this ingredient. So I feel like that part's going to take time. And there's other people building toilets that are much more culturally like appropriate versus just one nice big fancy flush toilet. That doesn't work for everybody. So I think, that just goes to show that you're just going to it takes time. It really takes time.
I mean, that part in the film, I forgot the particular person from India that was mentioning, like, you're fighting against like thousands or whatever, how many years of just, this is the way we do it. And then there's also that sort of like, that non-trust with someone coming in that's not with them, that's not of them, and it's kind of like, I'm here to save you, like that sort of savior complex, which happens a lot, I guess, in that kind of, in that world. So
totally. And I love that's why I liked having Dr. Patakian here talk about. He's kind of like the boss man of India. He's like, hey, you don't know how things roll here, so
yeah. Here's how we do things here.
I've been making toilets for like 70 years, so
yeah, I know what thing it's here. But it's true though. It's just like, it is like this kind of like, oh, here's this thing. You drop it off and you pat them on the back. See you later. And they're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this thing now?
Yeah. And that's how he felt like when we attended the Bill and Melinda Gates toilet fair. He was like, cool, this is like a fun techie project, but this isn't going to do shit, And he's like the only person who will say that, Why
don't they work together? Why aren't the Gates joining forces with the World Toilet Organization?
They have funded some of the things that he's done in the past, like small projects. But I don't, and Gates does that, I'm assuming. Again, I don't know much about Gates Foundation because I don't work with him. But I get the impression that they have funded a lot of projects along the way, smaller, if they fit his idea. But I get the idea that Gates wants to do a lot of this himself and under his own kind of control of how it works. So that's the impression.
Too bad, because it seems like Mr. Toilet has much more of a zest for it.
Yeah.
And Bill has the resources, It seems like two brilliant people should be working together.
Yeah, he's the microphone for it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably clashing personalities, it's ego. I'm sure it's all that stuff mixed in.
Yep, you've hit it on the head.
Yeah, it's just like, if you're like a billionaire. It's like not having this guy come in and tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Which actually, real quick though, it's going back to the India thing. Do you know where Jack is with the Indian government as far as like the relationship with that? Is it still like a ongoing thing, or is it kind of like...
Yeah, it's interesting. I can tell you really watched this movie. It's interesting you asked that because that was one of his concerns. He says, I will not ask you to do anything in the movie, but I do not want you to completely ruin my relationship with India because I still have to work with them. You get to just show this movie to everybody and be like, dun, da, 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 but I may still have to work with people. So there is a scene that we showed where he met with them. We probably could have gone further with that.
Gotcha.
But we showed you more or less what happened. But the funny thing is after the film came out, those specific governors / mayors were all basically moved on, and there was like a new government in town. So it didn't matter anyway, and there's just turnover. And
Gotcha.
it's still in the process. Like, so basically they declared that they were open defecation free. But when a government declares that and you go to different villages that still have no toilets, it's a little, I think they're definitely doing better.
Gotcha.
But when you're dealing with how many billions, 1.1 billion people in India?
Yeah.
I still think it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. But the goal was very ambitious. Very ambitious.
For sure.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying, biting off more than you could chew to get that many billions of people toilets. Mm-hmm. So talking about toilets in these places, though, where did you go to the bathroom? Like when you were traveling to film, and you're talking about 14-year-old girls being scared, you're a female documentary maker. And how did you and your crew, did you have to pee and poop on the street? Like what happened?
Yeah, I never had to poop outdoor, but definitely had to pull over to pee for sure a lot of the times. And I did use a lot of the different types of squat toilets. There was only one time where I used one where there probably was one too many flies around. But we were also lucky enough to have a hotel, which was 3 hours away from some of these villages, to end up going at. But yeah, I saw a lot of them. I went in a few of them. I do think the squat toilet is great for moving things along, and now I'm all sold on like the bidet. I have a hard time. Yeah, I have a tushy. So I have a hard time going to the bathroom with just toilet paper. That's something that's new for me since the film as well. That I feel like I have like the cleanest butt ever. So because of that.
Oh yeah. We're all about bidets. So I'm with you.
Oh, great.
It's so hard when you go on vacation or travel somewhere.
Totally.
You're like, where's your bidet? Like, we don't have one. I'm like, fuck.
You can do like a portable one.
Yeah.
It looks like a water bottle. But
I have one.
Yeah.
We both have those too.
Okay, I'm telling the wrong people.
Oh no, but I get it though, because you're like, once you step into that world, it is it's eye opening.
Yeah, we're bidet evangelists, right?
Yes, born again bideters.
Yeah, to the pulpit we go.
I was dying to know, like, one of your cameramen got like really explosive diarrhea and had to join I was like, wouldn't that have just been so meta?
Oh, that's true. No, but I did have an assistant who, like, she was like gluten-free, also had lactose intolerant, also had never been to India, got car sick once. Like, the whole trip was a disaster for her, like a disaster.
Poor
for
thing.
sure.
Oh man, that
Yeah,
sucks.
because like I feel like my stomach is like, I don't know, for some reason I can drink water in any country and it doesn't bother me. And so I just kind of move along as
Wow.
if everybody is like that, you know, like, oh guys, just like whatever. Because, you know, when you go to these villages, they actually offer you something. They're very like, they want you, make you feel like you're at home. And so they'll offer you whatever tea they just made or whatever. And she'd always be like, are you going to drink that? And I'm like, yeah, why not? But I forget that other people don't have the stomach that I have. So yeah.
Nice. That's an awesome superpower to have. I would be in that bathroom instantly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Never.
Thank you. Where's your, I'm just going to go outside. Out back. Oh, it's funny. I get you're not Jack's personal videographer, but do you think that he would maybe come to the States in some like poor rural areas that, you know, don't have access? Because I feel like, I mean, obviously he deals with more like European or foreign countries for lack of a better term. But I'm just wondering if you would even think about maybe coming to the States to like assess, I guess.
I think he totally would actually. One thing about him is he remains curious and he really wants to know like how every culture kind of solves this. And I think there would be parts of him that would be quite surprised that US still has this problem. And honestly, more so than Singapore where he lives. I don't know if any of you have been to Singapore, but Singapore is like really just super clean, super nice. This is like way nicer than the United States or anywhere you've been. And, you know, a lot of it is because they're able to, smaller countries are able to kind of, you know, control more things. But, you know, I mean, they don't even like chew gum there, right? So the subways are closed, clean, and just everything is very safe and clean. And honestly, compared to some places in the United States, you're just like, oh, wow, like, okay. So I think he for sure would. And he has seen some parts, like, you know, he spent some time with me here in Los Angeles and he had no idea that there was such a thing as Skid Row.
I was going to just say that. Oh my God.
No idea.
Like, oh yeah, it's awful.
He was shocked. He got his phone out and he was like, what? and he, you know, there's human defecation happening everywhere. He had no idea because he thought this was Hollywood and the land of like film and all this other stuff. So yeah.
You just like scratch the surface.
Show him the San Francisco poop map.
Oh, I've heard about this. I've heard about this. San Francisco poop map. Oh gosh.
Just
but then
everywhere.
there's like states like in Alabama and Mississippi, supposedly like there's something like 3 million people who are living without working toilets. And you think about these as being problems for like, I know it's not PC anymore to say it, but like third world countries. And it's like, no, it's happening literally in our backyard. It's happening down, especially in major cities. It's happening down the street from us.
Well, it's a fallacy. It's just, you're sold on a bill of goods about your country.
Totally.
It's like and you realize, oh, it's not the truth for a lot of people. I mean,
well, it's kind of like, look at their shit, not our shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Look over there.
Don't focus on the bullshit that you have to deal with here. Look, think about it over there. It could be worse. It's like, nah, it's actually the same.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute.
I think there's these traveling toilets that they have in places like San Francisco. I don't know if they do it in LA, where there's these organizations that will park at, you know, parks and stuff that have a lot of homeless populations or whatever, and allow them to shower and go to the bathroom in a clean space. And I think these are like self-cleaning toilet type of things too. So I've seen those happen, and it'd be really interesting to travel with them around the US and kind of do a story with like, you know, the traveling. I've
seen the shower before, but I guess it would make sense they would have a bathroom as well, but I mean, a toilet. So that totally makes sense.
But like even in Europe and most major cities, there's public toilets everywhere. We're here in New York. It's impossible to find a public toilet.
Yes.
You know, and it's like we're a country that we should be taking care of people to let them pee and poo places, but instead of on the street. So
even for me culturally, because I don't, you know, I have to visit New York during like, you know, promotions and for different things to work. But I would find myself walking around New York being like, wow, I had no idea I don't like pee this long. And, you know, of course, Starbucks will allow you, but then I'm always waiting in like a long line because everybody else is using it.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked that like, okay, all right.
Yeah, but thanks to COVID, even Starbucks is like, you can't use your bathroom thanks to COVID.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's too. It's the mentality of like it's someone else's problem in this country. There's no sense of because another thing too. It's like someone wrecks something. They're like, oh, someone else will clean it up. There's never like, oh, I should maybe just like leave it the way I found it. But it's more like, oh, someone else will do this, and then it gets ruined for everybody else. And I think that sort of mentality is funneled down. It's been ingrained for so many years, especially in New York, when whole quality of life thing when Rudy Giuliani was the mayor here, like with homelessness. And I just think it's one of those things where out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And then as a result, you're like, I can't go to the bathroom. Yep. So it's a mess.
So Lily, I know we are a poop podcast and we're very interested in your documentary, Mr. Toilet, but are there any other projects you're working on?
Not poop related.
Yeah.
Not poop related.
Yeah. Are you done with poop related?
Taking a break?
Not necessarily. I'm one of those people that like, if it really grabs me, I'll just fully immerse myself. And that's the same thing. As soon as I heard about the character of Mr. Toilet, it's like, I gotta find out who this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do something again for sure if it came out. Although it's been nice not getting like the DMs of. It actually has been nice, but maybe not. I don't know.
It's so funny. It'll be your part of your trilogy.
Yeah, part of my trilogy.
Into Mrs. Toilet.
Actually, it would be interesting to see Mr. Toilet like down the line, like when he's 80. You know, like it might be interesting to do like a follow up on him because he won't be flying around the world like he used to, and he may be entertaining more of that artist side of him. Like, is it just illegal art that he's doing now? Like, is he, does he have more sculptures, like poop sculptures around Singapore? Like, that actually might be interesting to me.
I'd watch that. A little follow up.
Yeah.
Little follow up on 8-year-old.
Where are they now?
Toilet.
Yeah. Love it.
Do you mind if we ask you some of our regular questions about your own pooping habits?
Sure.
Ooh. What kind of toilet paper do you use, and you put it on the roll over or under?
It comes over, and I have no idea. Whatever my partner buys, I use it. But definitely do the water first. Water first, then.
Oh, bidet first.
Bidet first, and toilet paper. Why you guys do opposite?
Oh no, I just
no. If I do number 2, it's bidet first, and then I pat dry.
Okay.
If I do number 1, I don't bidet.
Oh, I thought I was doing it wrong as soon as you guys were like, oh. I was like, I'm doing it wrong?
Oh, no, not at all.
I'm doing it wrong?
You're not doing it wrong at all.
Well, sometimes if I know it's been a really clean 4, I'll wipe first and see if there's really any reason to use the bidet.
Oh.
I use it every time I hit the water.
I have to. I have to get water up there.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no... has to be water.
Well, I get excited when it's a no push, no wipe. That's what we call it. An animal shits in the woods. They don't have to push it. They don't have to wipe it. It just comes out perfect.
They just move along and then they're like, let me go kill something. Yeah.
Exactly. And eat it and make more poop.
Funny.
And do you stand or sit to wipe?
Oh. I still sit. I sit for sure. Yeah. Do you stand?
We don't.
We are both
We've had guests that are standers.
They stand all the way up.
Yes, a couple people.
And then they like go all the way. Oh wow,
it's crazy.
A lot of effort.
A documentary for you.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah, there's actually some animations here I could do.
Yeah, man.
Animated
I do motion graphics by day job, so if you need someone to do it, there we go. Hit me up. It's called The Standers.
We've done animations of some of our interviews. We can send you a link to that too.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. They're hilarious. We actually won an award at the Coney Island Film Festival
right here.
for best animation. Yeah.
I mean, this would be so cool. I've seen similar ones like this. So there was one at Sundance because they have a shorts animated version. I don't know if you've ever been to Sundance watching the shorts animated, but one of the best shorts animated version, which actually falls along the lines of things that we're talking about, was embarrassing date stories. So of course there's always going to be like a embarrassing date story. And it was a whole animated version, like about this girl who went to the bathroom, but it wouldn't flush. So she like figured out a way to get it out the window. And it was all animated and it was so good. It was just so good.
Yeah.
That's
It's great.
amazing.
It was better than a reenactment, right? A reenactment wouldn't have been as funny.
It's a little too, it's a little too
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you could do things in animation that's like almost too far. It's just hilarious. But if you
Yes.
did it with real people, you'd be like, no.
And also, I think for a lot of people that are squeamish about that stuff, a cartoon or animated feature is a way easier to sort of more palpable.
Yeah.
You know?
You have a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It's not. It's like once removed. You're like, oh, this is like that's not real.
Lily, what's your first memory as poops and farts as a child?
Well, my mom always tells the story of how like she feels like I was born out of the womb constipated. So she says that like once a week, you know, she would see me like squirm and have tons of gas, and she would sit there and like push my knees against my stomach, and I would just fart and laugh. I'd be like so relieved and just giggling as a little baby, like, thank God. Yep, exactly. Except for longer.
You're like, finally.
It'd be so long, and I would just laugh. So, yep.
I love those videos where they do it to the little babies to get them out, but then they do the same moves to adults, and everybody's always surprised that a fart comes out.
Exactly.
It's pretty funny.
What is your best cure for constipation or diarrhea?
Ooh, constipated. And I think a lot of it had to do with anxiety growing up as a teen. Honestly, what always worked for me were aloe pills.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like, yeah, instead of taking like aloe juice, take the aloe form, and it's like, it works overnight. So as soon as you wake up, you go to the bathroom, and it's like constipation never happened. Perfect.
amazing. I used to drink aloe vera. I never knew they came in a pill form. I have
Yeah,
to
the
check
pill
that out.
works every time, and it
Wow.
doesment hurt your stomach like some of the other ones do, where they actually
Yeah.
really hurt your stomach.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Cool.
Oh man.
And if you had Bristol 7 butt pee-pee coming out of you fast and furious,
Yeah.
and you have no toilet in sight because you're in the middle of somewhere, are you going to go on the floor or your pants? Pants versus floor.
Ooh, like floor, but do I have the woods? Can I like go on the side of the road?
Yes, your location you can choose.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna go on the floor.
Over your pants.
Oh, I can't take my pants down.
No,
you
she's
can't.
saying. Sorry, it's
It's
just.
one or the other. You either poop your pants or you take.
I'm gonna
your
take off my pants. I'm gonna go on the floor.
That is the right answer, but
Okay.
not necessarily the easiest to always have happen.
It's
It's
true.
very, very circumstantial. That question.
It is very circumstantial, but like there's like you know Margaret Chow, right? You guys, I think have interviewed her. Like I forever remember her persimmon joke. She has a persimmon like story from like over a decade ago about how she tried all these diets and to get skinny, and she heard about the persimmon diet, and she said that same week she was taking the persimmon diet, she was in like traffic on her way to audition or something, and she had to shit her pants. Like there was just no other way. So anytime everybody's always doing like a food story about persimmons, immediately I think of Margaret Chow shitting her pants in LA traffic.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Oh my god.
So-
Which I'm sure that traffic was not moving at all.
Yes, exactly. And and she had that moment. Am I going to be a grown woman shitting in my pants? And it's like, yes, you are. Because what else are you going to do?
Oh, it's the worst feeling.
That's like I've heard of so many celebrities in LA shitting their pants in their car, from Bobby Lee to like Jonathan Van Ness. Like it must happen so often there that people are like stuck on the 405 and don't even know. Like,
Well, imagine the life here of having to go auditions all over the city, and like the amount of time you spend in traffic. Like it totally makes sense. Like
completely.
This is a great segue for shitty choices, actually. So, I had, would you rather shit your pants on a crowded bus or shit your pants while while riding a roller coaster? Like, I'm talking full evacuation, like on the bus, either one. I'm talking like just massive
full
explosion.
on.
You're stuck on both of them.
Yes,
and it's
you're
happening.
on. Yeah, it's happening. You're on the roller coaster. It's happening. You're on the bus. It's
Okay.
happening. And I mean,
Here's
like
what
crowded. Like,
Yeah. Here's what I'm imagining though. So like I feel like the roller coaster, yes, you're stuck, but not for that long. But it might splatter.
Yes.
yeah,
And it
and
might hit other people.
it'll splatter
Yes.
hit other people. And when you get to the station and you get out, you have to get out, and like there's that mess everywhere.
I know. I'm thinking of like, which one are you more embarrassed at?
Yeah.
With the bus ride, I was thinking, hey, like, well, how long? You know, how long is it to where, like, I just want that moment where, okay, fine, and people see me for 2 seconds. That's embarrassing. And then I can just like run or like go away or something. But both of them are equally embarrassing.
You have to get through all those people to get out the door. So it's like there might be a little bit of contact.
You know, I think bus for sure.
Okay.
Because I don't like roller coasters anyway.
Me either.
And I don't like them. So I'll do bus.
Yeah, I think I do bus too, because I feel like I just get off at the next stop and just walk it out. Roller coaster,
Exactly.
if it's just started. I mean, I didn't specifically say which part of the roller coaster. It could be like right when it first starts, and you're like on it, even though it's really quick. That's how splattering places. The person you're sitting next to, maybe they're not a friend.
Well, think about it. Buses are really nasty, and as it is, so you're just adding more nastiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I think about is if you're on a bus, you're either going to home or to work or to some place that probably has like a friend or something that could help. A roller coaster means that you're at an amusement park with all your friends and you spent all that money. And if you shit your pants there, you have to turn to your friends and be like, I have to go home. And you've just ruined the day for everybody. And
Well, you definitely ruined your day.
Yeah. And probably it's in the middle of summer. So you're wearing shorts. So that is just dripping down your legs.
Could you imagine this, like that you get off the ride and then like the person that's operating the ride, the operator is probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they have to clean it up. The ride is closed the rest of the day.
Oh
my God. And then they're going to have a sign and then everybody's going to have a line and then everybody's going to know why because they're going to say what happened and it's going to like travel down the end of the line saying this person shit their pants. And then nobody's going to want to ride it anyway after that. So
it's going to be a mess regardless, but I'm going with bus as well.
And I feel like if you shit your pants on the bus, it wouldn't be a news story. But if a roller coaster got shut down because somebody shit, like it would be a full-on news story. It would be so.
That's true.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look,
I'd cover that news story.
It would be on this show if we read about that. So if anybody out there, I should Google that next time we do a news story.
You should interview that person.
This must have it's probably happened. It's had to have happened.
Totally.
Poop has happened everywhere.
Yeah. So
this shit happens.
All right, so we got 3 for bus. Bus shits. Okay, we're gonna get into a little news and then we'll get you out of here. So this news story came to us from our super fan, Miss Rose Martin, sent this to me.
Huh.
I mean, it's news. I put it under the news category, but really it was a Reddit article from this guy. He didn't say which country he lives in, but the the title is like, I got mucked. I didn't know what the word mucked meant.
Yeah,
and
me either.
Apparently wherever this person's from, it is a practice where if you get caught stealing, you can either go to court, go to jail, pay restitution, the same things we have here, pretty much around the world. Or for like sort of lower petty theft things, you can get mucked. And what mucked means is they take you out to a pasture and they cover you in cow shit for anywhere between 2 to 6 hours.
Public poop shaming.
This story, it's on Reddit.
Shaming.
This story, it's not. It's so long. I mean, I'm actually not going to read the whole thing.
Do you think it's real?
I'm just saying it's real because I was laughing so hard when I read this.
Okay.
So we're going with real, but apparently, there's so much detail on this. I can't imagine it not being real, but we're going with it. So basically, this guy got caught stealing. He's a younger man living with his parents, and he got mucked. So they took him out to a farm somewhere like 30 minutes outside the city center of wherever he was, and they sat there. You're sort of like tied down, so you can't really move, and they give you goggles, and they just cover you with horse shit. Or sorry, cow shit.
God.
And they were also saying that apparently, depending on the level of crime or the theft you were doing, it could be anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours. He got 6 hours. And he's like, you think like, okay, it's just going to be like we see in the movies. Like, it's going to be like some cow patties or whatever. But it's like, no, it's slimy. It's disgusting. It's just like
in your face too.
Everywhere. These officers start shoveling it onto you as you're sitting down, and you just sit there and they leave you there for like hours.
God.
Yeah. And the guy was like, he was so traumatized because the whole point is, I guess people that do this, like they just do not steal again. It's just so traumatizing. So, and this dude got his mother picked him up. He had to drive back, and he's like, for days, he still could smell it. Like he took like so many showers, and just, it was so disgusting. But yeah, just in a hot, and it was like during the summertime too. So it was really warm and just smelly. And he was like one of like, I think like 4 or 5 people that they were mucking that day.
Oh
now,
my God.
Again, this could be completely fake, but the amount of, if this is fake, this dude should be like, this could be like a movie, the way he wrote this thing. It's amazing. It's so much detail, but I just thought it was funny.
We should make an animation out of it.
I mean, this, I think I might puke on this one because it's the way he describes some of like the actual cow shit is just, it is horrendous. Yeah.
At first I didn't think it would be that bad. I'll be honest, because like they use cow and horse shit for like, soil to grow your herbs, and you like, you bake it out in the sun. And I've touched it before because I've had to take worms out of soil and house. So I didn't think it'd be that bad, but maybe like fresh, raw poop that just came out that hasn't been.
Well, this is what he said. First of all, no one warned me that this stuff doesn't smell anything like dog poop or even stronger version of dog poop. To me, it sort of smelled like awful rancid farts.
Yes.
And there was like a steam coming off of it. It's hot, It's wet, it's slimy, and dripping and running everywhere. The load dumped on my head was constantly dripping and running down my face.
That part.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, Rose, for that.
I feel like that's a shitty choice right there.
Yeah, man. It's just
pay
like
a fine or have jail time or have poop all over you.
You get mucked, which I was like,
well, that makes sense because when I'm around poop, sometimes naturally I'll just start breathing through my mouth, and he can't do that because it'll go in his mouth.
I'm just picturing this dude, with goggles on, and they're like all like, he said they're all fogged up and like, like you couldn't really see out of them. Woo!
This is something they used to do like on Jackass, the Jackass.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is very Jackass-ish.
Totally.
Well,
wait, Lily, when were you? Was it the human defecation where you've been around so much poop that you have to breathe through your mouth?
Yeah, I was breathing through my mouth when I was there.
Wow.
And I didn't smell a thing. I don't remember the smell because I wasn't trying to smell it.
Exactly.
No, but the fact that there was that much around you.
Sometimes, depending where it was. Yeah.
There must have been like a slap
But
in the
sometimes it
face.
was like far, like you had to walk far because that's where, they could have privacy.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. That is crazy. Well, I'm glad.
But I didn't roll around in it.
You did?
No, since you didn't.
Oh, I was like, what? When do we start the interview off with that detail?
You're like, I was just in it, man.
Mucked is something I've done.
Yeah, you're like, what? Boring.
That's why my skin is so great.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, Lily Zepeda, thank you so much for being on our show. Thanks for birthing Mr. Toilet and showing it to the world. And if you have anything you want to plug, please plug away. Let our audience know where they can find you and what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm still making stories. I'm working on a podcast series that I won't talk about yet, but it's coming up. I'm at Lily Zepeda, my name, on Instagram. I haven't done Mr. Toilet film Instagram in a while, but I feel re-inspired by this podcast to post because you really forced me to be so unique and also just kind of keep up to date with all the latest poop jokes. So now you guys re-inspired me to keep this up. Nice. But that's Mr. Toilet Film on Instagram. And you can always follow Mr. Toilet himself, Jack Sim, and see where he is in the world as well.
Awesome.
And how do we watch your documentary?
Oh, yeah, the documentary. So it's on Amazon Prime. If you're in the US, it runs every year around World Toilet Day on Al Jazeera around the world in
awesome.
60-minute form. Yep. And our distributor is Journeyman. So even if you were to Google Journeyman Mr. Toilet Film, they have it in different places of the world on different platforms. But Amazon Prime is like the main one. Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
That's how we saw
So
it.
everybody go out there and watch this very informative, fun, and kind of heartbreaking documentary. It's got everything. It's a roller coaster of emotion.
But very inspiring.
Very
in the
inspiring.
end. So it's worth the watch. It's a fantastic film. And again, thanks for being on the show.
Such a great film.
Thank you. You guys were such a joy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for laughing everything but with us.
And happy pooping, everybody, and enjoy your butthole.
For more info, go to heypoopypodcast.com or email us at heypoopypodcast@gmail.com. You can send in show ideas, guest requests. Check us out on Twitter at heypoopy, Instagram at heypoopypodcast, TikTok, Hey Poopy Podcast, and our awesome new Facebook fan page. Go check it out at Hey Poopy Podcast. We're also on Discord at Hey Poopy Dumps, or you can contact us at our new awesome hotline, 203-998-5579.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect for Entertainment. Produced by Dave and Ellen. Edited by Dave. Executive producer Stormy Leather. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey Poopy!